What's good, Combat Sports fans? It's your boy Bando, and you already know this is Combat and Kick It. We are back at it with a fresh episode because UFC Fight Night just finished out. We just had the finish of that light heavyweight matchup that got didn't get canceled, but got taken to a no decision or a no contest back in October when we were in Abu Dhabi. Fast forward to now, Magomed Ankalaev comes through with a huge win. Let's talk about it. So, we had UFC Fight Night. Our return to fights finally happened. Nothing is worse than going 3 weeks with no fights. I mean, it sucks. It is absolutely trash to sit 3 weeks with no fights. There were a couple boxing matches here and there, but if you're a UFC fan like me, an MMA fan like me, you just need that fix. You need that extra fix of a UFC fight. Like, there's a boxing match on right now. Artur Beterbiev versus Liam Smith, I think his name is. Liam Smith. I think one of the two. But that boxing match is on right now, and I could be totally watching that, but I'm not. Because I need to be breaking things down. Need to be doing reviews. Callum Smith. He's fighting Callum Smith. So, either way, we're talking about UFC Fight Night because that just happened. So, what went down tonight? We had a bunch of decent prelim cards, some good finishes, a couple of knockouts. Jean Silva with a beautiful knockout. Beautiful right hand into a finish to make his debut in the prelims. So that was a great win for him. There was a knockout beforehand with Nicholas Mata. Knockout before that with Joshua Van. So you had 3 back-to-back knockouts opening the night, leading into a decision, back into another KO, into a decision. This KO actually, Marcus McGee versus Gaston Bolanos. Gaston Bolanos and Marcus McGee. They were slugging it out. They were slugging it out on the prelims, putting on a show. I was watching that while trying to watch the Browns game, or what was the Browns game. Was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, I'm still going to have the fights on the side. I got to have the prelims on at least. So I had the prelims on, and that fight stuck out to me. That Marcus McGee and Gaston Bolanos was a really good fight, and Marcus McGee ended up getting the finish in the second round. Yeah, back and forth, man. Those boys were swinging. I love seeing fights like that. Then you get into the main card a little bit. You got Andrei Arlovski went up against Waldo Cortez Acosta. Andrei Arlovski, the man still got a chin for being 44 years old, getting ready to turn 45. He's still got a chin. He's still durable. He's still strong. He's still skilled. He shows that veteran status when he's in there. Unfortunately, he didn't get the victory, but he showed that he could still hang with these young guys, man. You think about it, a guy that's been in there for fucking 60 fights, 44 years old, and these young guys aren't finishing him in the heavyweight division, in a division where people get finished the most. Pretty wild. So you got to give props off to Andrei Arlovski for still doing this. He has no reason to do this. It's not like title aspirations are even there. He does it because he loves it. So respect off to him. But Waldo Cortez Acosta, he was throwing some heavy bangers, and he got the win. He did what he needed to do. So good win by him. Then you skip to the Phil Hawes and Bruno Ferreira middleweight matchup. Bruno Ferreira with 5 seconds left in the first round, got the finish. Beautiful knockout. Threw a knee that clipped Phil Hawes, that started the whole, wobbled process and everything like that. And then he started following up with some heavy shots. Phil Hawes stayed on his feet, stayed alive for the moment. Then he threw another flying knee. Bruno Ferreira threw another flying knee, missed it, then threw a left straight, just clipped him enough to put him out. Finished out with some ground and pound, got the win. So good win for Bruno Ferreira. Curious to see what's next for him because, you got sluggers in the middleweight division. So he's an interesting dude when it comes to that style. So we'll see what they got in store for him. Moving on, you got the bantamweight division, Ricky Simone and Mario Bautista. This fight was really good as well. I had a feeling that if there was going to be a fight of the night, contender on this card, that was going to be the one to take it. I don't know what happened yet. I don't know who got fight of the night or who, what, where, when, why on any of it. But I do know that Mario Batista got the decision win over Ricky Simone in what was a fantastic fight. And Mario Batista looked really good. He looked really, really good. After the first round, I was definitely leaning Ricky Simone in the first round. He just did a little bit more, was a little more active, landed a takedown. Just was a little bit more active. It was just like a 10-9 round. Wasn't nothing crazy, but a little bit more active. Going into the second round, he started trying to have the same success that he had in the first round, and Mario Batista was cutting him off in every which way, every situation. He was beating him in the striking, he was outboxing him, and he was defending the takedowns. There was one moment, I don't know if it was in the second round or if it was in the third round, I think it was the second, where Ricky Simone actually picked him up, took him over to his own corner, took Mario Batista down, had like the coaching help in the corner and everything like that for maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and Mario Batista just beautifully got up from a very dangerous position that he was in, and he got up. And the thing about it too, the thing that stood out about Mario Batista in these situations, every time he stood up from getting taken down or from being on his back, he started throwing as soon as the break happened. As soon as they broke, he started throwing. And his boxing was crisp tonight because he was throwing combinations. And I think that disrupted every bit of Ricky Simone. Ricky Simone couldn't get going, right? There was a couple moments where Ricky was landing some good shots, but Ricky doesn't throw many combinations, right? He throws a couple combinations, but not these boxing combinations that Mario Batista was throwing. Mario was just out striking him like completely in the third round, and easy decision win after going 2-1 against Ricky Simone. Mario Batista looked good. I liked his call out too. He called out Rob Font. That makes sense. That's a guy that needs a win right now in the top of the division, and I think stylistically, two boxers. Let's get it. Let's get it. And you already know Rob Font hits hard. Mario Batista seems like he hits hard, but at the same time, he was working the volume punches tonight. He was working the volume punches. There was a couple moments, like I said, in the first round where Ricky was having more success. I think Mario Batista was trying to see what kind of things he can throw, and Ricky was looking for the takedown, but I'm not sure what he was looking for with the takedown, because I think he was just looking for control, and he wasn't getting it because Mario Batista was getting up to his feet so quickly. So good fight by both men. I would assume that that's going to end up getting fight of the night. I don't see what other fight would. But yeah, fantastic fight on both men. Mario Batista looked really good, so I will be interested to see him more in the 135-pound division. It's literally, besides 155, is probably the most stacked division in the UFC. So moving on, you had Jim Miller versus Gabriel Benitez. I missed this fight. Can't lie. I fell asleep. Happens. You get cozy, man. You get cozy on the couch. You fall asleep. I missed this fight, but Jim Miller got the submission win. So, damn, man. Jim Miller still getting it done. He doesn't slow down, man. He doesn't slow down. He doesn't seem like a guy who has fought as many fights as he has. He still looks like one of the dudes who's not necessarily on a come up, but, relevant type of thing. He's doing his thing. Shout out to Jim Miller. Proceeds to get the W and calls out Paul Felder for UFC 300. UFC, book it. Dana, Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard, all you motherfuckers. Book it. Book it. Book it. We'll take it. We will take it. Just get Jim Miller on UFC 300. 100, 200, 300, and I'm willing to say that could be possibly his last fight, but you can't even guess with Jim Miller with the way that he still gets it done every time he steps in the octagon. So shout out to him. Good submission win. I'll go back and catch up to that. It looks like it was in the third round. If the fight went to the third round, I'm sure Gabriel Benitez had some success because he's a good striker. He's exciting on the feet. He's known for getting clipped up in the past, but he could be exciting on the feet. But Jim Miller, man, fucking shout out to him. Then you go on to the main event. You have Magomed Ankalaev getting it done against Johnny Walker in the second round. Now, look, man, it's one of those things where if Johnny gets clipped, we know it's not to dog his chin, but we just know if Johnny gets clipped in a certain exchange, that might be it. I said it before, Magomed Ankalaev striking is actually a lot better than it seems. It's underrated, right? Everybody expects him to be so dominant with the wrestling, which he is, right? He can control with his wrestling really well, but at the same time, his striking is crisp, his striking is clean. And, just that exchange where Johnny went in, I don't even know, not sure what Johnny was throwing, ended up getting clipped with the right, and boom, starched him. Starched him. And Johnny gets knocked out in such shitty ways, man. Such shitty ways. It's weird. He just gets knocked out in crappy ways, right? He gets clipped and it looks bad. It looks really bad. Almost every time he gets KO'd, it looks really bad. What are you gonna do? But it sounds fucked up, but I'm kind of happy that fight ended up in a finish because we needed that. Overall, what we need in the light heavyweight division is things that are certain, right? You kind of need things that are certain. The light heavyweight division is a fucked up division, right? It always has been, right? It used to be like the leader of the UFC, man. Back in the Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, all the Rampage Jackson, Forrest Griffin, Rashad Evans, Lyoto Machida. Back in those days, right before John Jones's reign started, it was a crazy division, right? And it was still a stacked division and a crazy division when John Jones was in it. It was just a division being dominated by John Jones, right? So it went from an exciting era. The belts kept switching. You had, like I said, it went from I don't remember the orders. I know a lot of people would crack me on the orders, but you had it bouncing from all those guys, all the guys that I've mentioned. It all bounced from one of them in some way. So you take that time and then you skip into the John Jones era, right, where John had his reign. And then you had the John Jones downfall era, right? There was like a small period of time where it was like on and off with John. There was interim championships being thrown with DC and Anthony Johnson and Gustafson and all this and that, and things were getting thrown together for the light heavyweight division. And then John would come back and fight DC, and then there'd be some more BS. There'd be something with John getting popped. So there, started this like bad thing, just this is bad vibes around the light heavyweight division. And then moving into, past the John Jones DC era, right? You get out of the John Jones DC rivalry, right? And you move on to finally getting a new champion. And boom, here's Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz getting a huge win over Dominic Reyes. He was underdog in that win. Got a huge win over Dominic Reyes, right? Everybody's like, oh crap. Jan Blachowicz is the truth. Goes on to defend against Israel Adesanya. And you're like, oh, okay. All right, we might have something going for the light heavyweight division. Then loses the strap to, that kind of record-breaking moment for Glover Teixeira becoming champion. Glover becomes champion. Loses it in his first defense. Yuri beats him. Yuri becomes champion. Has to vacate due to a shoulder injury. Brings back to Jan Blachowicz and now Magomed Ankalaev. Fight goes to a draw. Belt is still vacant. UFC immediately right after that goes to Jamal Hill and Glover Teixeira to start off 2023. Jamal Hill becomes UFC light heavyweight champion. Thinking now we got a set champion. Now we might have some things running. We know we're going to get Jamal and Yuri when Yuri comes back. You got Alex Pereira who bounced up to 205 in 2023. You said, oh, that's going to happen. All these things coming together and you're like, oh man, the 205 pound division. We're about to have something now, right? We're about to have something. And then guess what? Jamal Hill gets injured and has to vacate. So he vacates the belt. Now you move on to Yuri Petroska and Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira is now your UFC light heavyweight champion. He got a finish, got a good win. All right, boom. We're sitting. We got a champion. Let's see where this can go. You have Magomed Ankalaev. I'm not saying he's number one contender, but that's possibly your next guy. It's a possibility. It's not out of the realm, right? He's on a win streak. I think it's 10 fights. Is it 10 fights? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8-fight win streak. People say 10-fight unbeaten streak. That's what it is. They say 10-fight unbeaten streak, but it's an 8-fight. 8 fights he has won. It's not even a streak. 8 fights he has won with 1 no contest and 1 draw. Right? Let's look at the guys he's beaten. He's lost to Paul Craig. All right. He's beaten Daisha Lujumbula. He's beat Kildson Faris Diabru. I butchered both those names. So that tells you how much I know about those guys. Beat Ian Kuntelaba. Beat Volkan Ozdemir. Beat Nikita Krylov. Beat Anthony Smith. Beat Thiago Santos. And half of those were decisions. I think like 6 out of the 8 were decisions. Right? Does he deserve a title shot? Do we overhype win streaks just because guys win? You know what I mean? Like, a win streak is fantastic, but you don't have to overhype it all the time, right? But I don't know. Could possibly be next, but it gives you a guy now. It does give you somebody to talk about, I guess. I mean, getting the finish helps out, but like it's the same thing. If Johnny Walker would have got that finish, were you guys really going to sit back and say he deserves number one contender? He's next for the title shot? Jamal Hill is next for the title shot. That's the clearest thing that you do. As soon as Jamal Hill comes back, you get him back in title contention. Put him, or not title contention, put him back in the title picture. Him and Alex, there's a little bit of a backstory there. You can do a little something with that. Have a little fun with that. Have Magomed Ankalaev sitting in the realm waiting. He could be the backup fighter, or, let's see what else is in the light heavyweight division. Let's see real quick. Rankings. Light heavyweight. Well, you got Raychik and Petroska fighting at UFC 300. Yeah, realistically, there's nobody else for him to fight. It would have been Raychik and Ankalaev, or Ankalaev and Petroska would be the next potential. So I say you make Jamal and Alex. If you can get that on UFC 300, if Jamal will be ready, you put that on UFC 300. You have Magomed Ankalaev as the backup fighter, and then the winner of that fights Magomed Ankalaev. Simple as that. Boom. Boom. But see what a knockout does? If Magomed Ankalaev would have won a boring-ass decision, that shit would have sat there, and he probably would have ended up fighting Jan Blachowicz again in a rematch, or Nikita Krylov later on, or some shit like that. He's not going to be in the realm if you're not getting finishes, right? And he got to finish, so that's going to help him out a little bit. Definitely a little bit. So, what else we got? Obviously, coming up this week, we got UFC 297. I'm going to have a breakdown coming for that. I'm not going to do that right this second, but that's Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. That's a huge fight. There's a huge fight. There's hella beef in there, so we're definitely going to have a good breakdown of that and the entire card. It's the Toronto card. You got Mike Mayotte returning. You got the women's bantamweight championship is vacant, so someone's going to become champion between Raquel Pennington and Mayra Bueno Silva. So don't know what happened to Juliana Pena. I don't know, maybe she's injured or some shit like that, but she seemed like she was going to be big dogging it as soon as Amanda retired, and she was going to be number one to get that title shot and everything like that. And don't know what's happening to her. She seems like she's been real quiet, real quiet ever since the retirement. Like she was only chasing a fight with Amanda Nunes and not chasing a belt. So I don't know what's going on, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, so UFC 297 is next. That's what's coming up next. What else? What else do I got to talk about? I feel like there was something else I was going to say. There was something else I saw on Instagram. I had something else to say about it. Maybe it was maybe that's what it was. Maybe it has something to do with UFC 297. I don't know. I don't fucking remember. I didn't write it down. Sometimes I don't write these episodes down. Sometimes I write them down. I don't script myself, but sometimes I'll write them down. Have like little notes and stuff. This one I said, you know what? I'm doing immediately after the fight. I'm going to make a video and post it as soon as possible. Get it out as quick as I can so you guys can see my opinion on everything that happened tonight. But yeah, so you finally got a finish from Magomed Ankalaev. You got someone who is a good floating #1 contender possibly. So yeah, but we got fights back and it feels good. It feels good to be back in the fight realm. And you got more coming. More episodes coming from your boy Bando. So I will catch you on the next episodes. You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification button so you know when that next episode is out. And I will catch you then. Your boy is out. Peace.
Why we're surrounded by